again, and welcome back to my channel. I'm glad you decided to join me for chapter 19 of myself reading the book that I wrote to you called Legends Orbs of the Elements. As always, if you are interested in purchasing this book, I will leave all the details after the reading. Let's begin. And before, if you notice, I am not wearing my Legends Orbs of the Elements shirts because when I started filming, I realized that I'm not wearing it, but I want to get this video made, so that's why. Hi! My cat right now wants to play fetch. It was chapter 19. It was like Castilia was a princess. The dress she wore was a fair blue color with yellow embroidery. There were also tiny shimmering stones on the cuff and neckline. Castilia had fixed her hair in many small braids that entwined around a large braid that encircled her head. She had crystal earrings shaped to represent stars. She had no other adornments about her. There was no need. Starlin looked her over when she entered the living room. My, what a pretty face. Now remember to always keep Leon in sight. He paused and turned to Leon, then continued. You find the orb as quickly as possible. I must stay here so Viperlin, who knows I always dine at home, won't get suspicious if I show up. With that, he watched the two head for Viperlin's house. An hour later, they were eating at the very lavish table with their host. Leon could tell Viperlin was greatly disappointed that he had come along. While the meal was being eaten, and what an expensive meal it was, Leon had noticed that each of the counselors, Leon had noticed the same creatures he had seen. Leon had noticed that each of the corners of the ceiling had the same creatures he had seen in his mind while trying to discover the orb's location. His gut told him that it was somewhere in this very room. How was he going to find it? And a better question was, how was he going to collect it once he found it? The mouth-watering food he had been enjoying seemed to sour at the thought. One of the council members noticed Leon's head was turned up as if admiring the architecture. You like the design? He asked in an amused tone of voice. Leon took his eyes away from the ceiling and back to the old man who had spoken to him. Yes, we don't have grand rooms like this where I live. Tell me, what are those creatures called? Leon asked. The man took a noisy sip of his wine. Ah, those are called Ligons, made from black magic. Those are called Ligons, made from black magic they are. I thought a hunter like you would know all about creatures such as these. Leon thought fast. Well, I used to do a lot of reading when I wasn't so busy, but being a hunting guide to one like Castilia, I have little time for reading. This answer seemed to pacify the old man, and he went back to munching on his food. Now Leon completely lost his appetite at the mention of black magic and how casually the man had said it. He wondered how Castilia was coming along. He didn't sit next to her, so it wasn't as easy to steal a glance to see how she was doing. At last, the servants came to take the dishes away. The other council members exited out of their seats and bid Viperlin a good night and left. Now the real work began. Leon waited as Viperlin and Castilia continued to converse. The head counselor appeared as if he was under a spell and couldn't take his eyes off Castilia. Leon's mind kept coming back to the Ligon on the left-hand corner. Leon watched his twin materialize. Trigger didn't speak, but instead pointed to the left eye socket. Leon had been right. The orb was here. Thank you, he said in his thoughts. Trigger nodded that he understood. Leon wanted to try to get the orb now that he knew where it was located. He got up and coughed loudly. If you are done, the hour is late, Leon announced, and made a small gesture that only Castilia's keen eyes caught that he was onto something, and then she, like Leon, saw Trigger pointing to the same location he had shown Leon. Castilia acted instinctively. Viperlin, I would so love to enjoy a stroll outside in your garden before I depart for the night. Would you be a gentleman and take the evening air with me? She cooed and smiled sweetly. It was no surprise to Leon that this request brought a smile of a snake from their host. Yes, it would be my pleasure. He stood up and helped Castilia out of her seat. Viperlin turned his snake-like eyes upon Leon. Will you be joining us? He asked, as if the thought of Leon tagging along was unthinkable. Castilia replied in a bored tone of voice. Goodness, no. He will stay here and wait till I return. Viperlin kissed her hand and ran his hand across her. Viperlin kissed her hand and ran his hand across her just a heartbeat too long. Great. I like the way you think, Legend, he said. Then, without further words, he led her out of the large room. Leon waited until the doors were shut and the footsteps could not be heard. Great. Now how am I supposed to get it? He said to himself in a rather huffed, sarcastic voice. Trigger reappeared and sat where Viperlin had been seated with his feet crossed on the top of the table. Leon eyed his twin. Any thoughts, Trigger? He asked with a playful air to his voice. Trigger pointed to the ceiling. Get the left one, he replied. Leon sighed with slight disgust. Oh, what a help you are. Just then, who should appear but Starlin? How goes it, my boy? Leon jumped in surprise. It's going as well as can be expected, but I could do with some rope about now, he said, figuring out a plan in his head. Starlin sneaked a peek out the window. He could observe Castilia flirting heavily with Viperlin. She was in complete control of the situation. She steered him away from the house and chuckled as if she were having the time of her life. Starlin walked back to Leon's side. Come here, hold this. He ordered his young friend while simultaneously handing him his long braided beard for Leon to hold. Next, the wizard began to pull on one of the strands from his beard. As he kept pulling it, the hair pooled and materialized into a coil of rope. When the wizard thought he had enough, he pulled the hair completely out. Leon dropped the rest of Starlin's beard. Leon gave him a quizzical stare. What? You think I grow this beard for me? Huh? I'm sorry. What? You think I grow this beard for my health? Leon just moved his head sadly from side to side. Wizards were definitely strange and mysterious. More strange in this case, he thought to himself. Then he looped the rope around and fashioned a lasso. Taking a few paces back, he swung it high above his head and tossed it around the head of the Lygon. It was a perfect throw. Checking to make sure it was secure, Leon began to climb up the rope. He could now see the two eyes when he could hear two voices outside the door. It was Castilia and Viperlin. Leon's heart put on a burst of speed with startled panic. He didn't want to attempt to move. He hung on for dear life and prayed that somehow Castilia would distract Viperlin. He could faintly hear Castilia say she wanted to see some of the rooms in Viperlin's house. Starlin had silently vanished like vapor. Leon let out a sigh of relief as he heard two sets of footsteps get distant again. A couple of more hand over hand maneuvers later, and he was resting his elbows on the bridge of the creature's nose. Starlin now reappeared. Leon's arms were strained from the climb. Leon wiped away the perspiration from his brow. He tried to wiggle the orb out with both hands. He used all the small amount of arm strength he had left, but the orb would not budge. "What should I do? It's stuck tight," Leon called out. Starlin thought swiftly. "Use your mind power. Imagine it at my house," Starlin advised. Leon did. He focused all his energy on bringing it to Starlin's house. Suddenly, it burst into flames and was gone. Leon felt physically drained from the effort. He slowly and with great pain began to make his descent. Starlin smiled at him proudly. Well done indeed, my fine fellow. Now quickly toss the rope into the flames in the fireplace," Starlin said matter-of-factly. They could make out voices again and two sets of footsteps drawing near. Leon again wiped the sweat from his forehead. Starlin disappeared as the doors were slowly opened again. Leon stood in the same spot that he had stood when they left. Nothing was out of place. "Are you ready to leave now?" Leon said with a slight bow. This was the signal to Castilia that he had got the orb. She smiled coyly at Viperlin and replied back, "Yes." The three made their way to the doors. Leon began to take Castilia's hand when Viperlin gripped her by the other hand and forced her to his lips. He kissed her with lust in his head and heart. Castilia pulled away with ease. She put 2 fingers to his lips to stop any further kissing. He had the determination to take her to his bed. He ran both hands down the sides of her face softly. When she made no attempt to react either with pleasure or disgust, he began to kiss her on the neck. She again used her hand to gently push him away. "Now listen, good counselor. As I told you in the garden, I do not sleep with any man that offers me dinner of any kind, nor do I sleep with any man while I am a guest in another, which I am. If you would have offered us a place to stay first, I would not hesitate to lay with you in your bed," she said, with a sensible tone of voice, like this practice was commonplace. Castilia now moved away and stood next to Leon. He now stood in front of her. She took Leon's arm. She bowed gracefully to him as if she had the utmost respect for him. Without further words, the two strolled down to Starlin's house as fast as their legs could permit, without looking like they were running. After they entered the house, Starlin had a warm bed for each of them to sleep in. That evening, after they had each taken a private bath and had changed into clothes that they would sleep in, they each bid Starlin a good night. Leon and Castilia each slept deeply. They understood that sleep this restful might be far and few from here on out. So that is all the chapter for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big like, subscribe, share with friends and family. Down in the comments down below, if you like the Wizard Starlin, give comment with a big thumbs up. If you are interested in buying this book for yourself, so you can read it by yourself or to read along with me, it can be found on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, Apple iBooks, and lots of other fun places. I also have a Facebook page dedicated to all things Legends. I write an article Monday through Friday about different topics concerning this book. Like one is about the set, how I created the setting of the book. Another is about the baddies of my book. Another is how I came up with the names of Leon and Castilla. So if you are interested in that, please go check it out, like it, read it. I so love sharing more insights of the book that I wrote. Yeah, I cannot wait to see you guys Monday for chapter 20 of this book. I so appreciate you guys watching these videos. I think it is so much fun to share my book with the world. I will be making more fun videos in the future. I plan on making 2 new videos, each about a Disney topic. So stay tuned for that. I know I haven't made a lot of Disney content and I want to. I hope you all have a wonderful Friday. Have a fantastic weekend. It's another day closer to my birthday, which I'm so excited. Yeah. And as they say in my book, may the elements protect you. Until Monday, everybody. Bye-bye for now.